We are the founders of the Eastern Kentucky Native Reserve. I am Aaron Akers. I'm an 11th grader at Betsy Layne H.S.
I'm Raleigh Music. I'm a 12th grader at Betsy Layne H.S.
I'm Connor McClung. I'm a 12th grader at Betsy Layne High School.
And I'm Brantley Deskins, a 12th grader at Betsy Layne High School.
Before we begin, we would like to thank Josie Tackett for starting out as our coach. As some of you know, she was diagnosed with leukemia about a week before or after Christmas break. Okay, so as the founders of the Eastern Kentucky Nature Reserve, we have recognized that the recent decline in many native species and pollinators in our area has greatly affected the biodiversity. As Albert Einstein once said, if there were no bees, man would only have 4 years left to live. As you know, if there are no pollinators, there are no plants. Without plants, no animals, and without animals, there's no people. Honeybees make up 80% of the population of pollinators worldwide. Bees and other pollinators are dwindling due to not being able to reproduce or thrive in the areas that we have affected due to mining and taking up their habitats. As you know, small creatures help the larger ones. The Conservation Center is going to be a lot more than just having the biodiversity and bees thrive. We will have a recreational park where we can have an observatory of the making of the honey and an observatory of the actual beehives. There will also be an area for hiking, bike trails. This could be an educational experience to students in the area, as they could come visit, that we could do tours to learn about the area and harvesting of the honey. We could learn about the pollinators and native species in the area. We could also partner with other businesses in the area in order to produce more products or have more profit in order to sustain the reserve.
Before we get into the specifics of our Conservation Act and our site and everything, I'd like to explain our site model. So here we have obviously a road. It leads up to the tourism center where we want to sell our honey and, just be a tourist attraction, the center for all of it. And here we have these two mountains, which we did all of this throughout paper mache. And these mountains were made from blowing up balloons and paper macheing over them. And so there will be the road to the actual conservation center and reservation center. And then there will be a viewing area for the bee farm, which is going to be down the hill on a, excuse me, on just a really flat spot. Really, it's a really several hundred acres of just flat ground, so we'll have a lot of room to expand. And over here, we have a demonstration of how we want to present our honey. So it's mainly a visual aspect. So we want to have it, on shelves with a backlight, like that. So it has a visual aspect to the actual honey. And, a lot of people will buy some of this because it's pretty. So that will increase sales along with, pretty much just bringing money back to ourselves so we can build and construct a bigger future. And next slide. And this is our drone. We went and took drone footage last week of our site. Can we play that? This is the footage of our site model area. As you can see, there's a very large flat ground towards the right of the drone footage. That's where we want to put the bee farm. And it extends way beyond the actual footage itself. We have a lot more drone footage. We can only do so much, add so much to the slide. But the drone can only extend out 2.5 miles from its actual receiver from where we were at. But there's so much more land and so much more room to expand than what we have on footage, pretty much. As you can tell in this, that is approximately, the drone can only go 100 meters maximum above the receiver point, and he was maxed out there, and that's, that just shows a general perspective of how much land we have available.
Personally, I've been all over the site since I was 5. I've been everywhere on it. I've done a lot on it. And there's a lot of land there. There is 794 square acres of land. And it is in very good access from the highway. That way we would easily be able to access it with about anything. Excellent. It was very suitable for our needs, to be able to build on. And whenever we were asked about doing this project, I immediately thought about this area, because how large it is and how flat it is right on top. And the road is in excellent condition. Whenever we visited it a couple of months ago, we were actually able to get a school bus up to the top and park where we were parked last week in the video, Drumfish. Whenever we visited a couple of months ago, we took water samples, and there was many different native species, a lot of different animals that are on the property, a lot. We went there last week, and we actually saw some wild horses that were there. So, water quality isn't the best. We've partnered with the Mountain Water District for it, and the NTU was 9.96, and for it to be portable in the state of Kentucky, it has to be 0.30 or lower.
The pictures that you see it's a time lapse from about 2.5 decades ago to now, and as you can see, the surface mining completely destroyed the area, and it's recovered slightly since they were mining on it, but with our help, we could potentially recover it back to 100% or maybe even more. We use the surface mining information system mapping application, which is basically just a program that shows you mining surfaces and the underground in one picture. So what you see is the mine, which is indicated by the hash line on the map, which is called the surface mine marker.
Ownership information. So there are 4 specific owners of the Rough and Tough Strip Mine, which is where we were doing our mine site at. The Wolverine Mining Corporation operated and owned it from August of 1983 to May of 1995. Then it was sold to Black Hawk Mining, which operated from May 1995 until September 2014. Their Licking River Resources operated from September 2014 to February 2016, which is the CEO is John Collins, who we actually contacted and was able to open up the mine for allowing us to go take the school bus up there and visit it and survey it and get drone footage and such. Then John Collins started a new company called Embry Energy, and then which now has possession of it since 2016.
A little backstory as to what the coal was actually used for. Most of it was used in a steam coal turbine, which the coal is ground up into a fine powder and lit on fire, and the heat and the pressure from the fire turns the turbine, which then creates energy. The main customer of the mine was Cooper Power Station in Somerset, Kentucky. Most of their buys were made from 2008 to 2014, which benefited the community the most because it produced more money. Black Hawk Mining controlled the surface mine from 2007 to 2010. They hired approximately 80 employees and worked about $15.50 an hour. about 70,000 tons of coal were produced per year, for each month, I mean. And when it was bought by Licking River Resources, they contributed to the community in multiple ways. They donated to churches. They even raised money for deceased family members, for families that couldn't pay for funerals or anything. From what we know, Black Hawk Mining, we don't know if they made any donations, but we assume that they made enormous ones from what John Collins has said. At Eastern Kentucky Nature Reserve, it's our goal to continue helping the community by promoting different conservational acts and stuff, by using solar panels. We want to encourage everyone in the community to switch to a cleaner energy source, which will benefit not only the environment, but the economy, as solar energy can be cheaper. We talked to Michelle Goebel from the Floyd County Conservation District, and she gave us many grants. She named many grants that we could have used to fund our project, and she also went through a presentation on the different pollinators that are going extinct or are endangered in Eastern Kentucky. Another partner is the RCPP, which is the Regional Conservation Partnership Program, and what they do is they help people who are wanting to promote conservation like us. Our main focus on the land will be a bee farm, which we are going to put on the flat surface that you see on the picture. It's a pretty big surface. We want about 350 to 400 beehives per area.
Our vision is not only about restoring the reclaimed mine back to its former glory, but possibly starting up a new epidemic along, the society and bringing back the bees and promoting pretty much cleaner resources for the world. These are our sources. Thank you for your attention. If you guys have any questions, we'd be glad to answer.
I have a question about value added. Will you, so clarification, you have about 350 hives, is that what you anticipate?
That is our goal. But that number will have to build up over time. We want to start with upwards of 100, but just, beehives are $200 to $300 a piece a day. So that will take some time of applying for grants, getting funding from the government. And we would like to get as many as possible, and then possibly sell them to farmers, rent them to farmers, and make additional profit, along with raising other crops from other people and promote pollination.
There's a lot of interest in bees. Would you also be, I think it's something like 2/3 of the hives, mega hives, I'm a background beekeeper, but 2/3 of, I think the hives are brought to places like the almond groves of California in the winter. Would you do something like that as part of this effort?
We do plan to basically rent out the bees to different farms in the world by transporting them in cargo trucks or something like that.
And then would you be producing queens also? There's quite a market.
Yeah, but yeah.
Sure. Very good. Thank you.
I have a question. Maybe we'll be working on some more mindsets and get some people in. Did Michelle Goebel address anything about vegetation on the mindset? Because,
No, sir.
Okay. I was just curious. Certain species produce better honey than others.
She brought to our attention the Indian bat and other animals that could also promote the pollination, but she didn't bring to light any other honey creators.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding your business model. Do you plan to be established as a nonprofit entity, or are you looking to be a for-profit entity?
We're looking to make a profit just so we can expand the business. Eventually, we could transfer to nonprofit. The biggest way we're gonna get or, receive a profit would be through tourism, like our hiking trails and stuff. It'd be like $5 admission price.
So, as a for-profit money-making organization, how do you see the different lines of business? For example, for your honey sales, do you know how much it costs to make a jar of honey and how much you need to sell it for in order to make a profit?
The honey we would like to sell, we like to sell it for $8 a quart. But where it's our honey and from our bees, it's actually very cheap for us to make, since we're not buying different products from different companies and such. So, and I would like to add into the question earlier about our profit part. I work at the Mountain Arts Center, and at the Mountain Arts Center we receive a lot of tourism groups. And through the tourism at the Mountain Arts Center, they pay a lot of money to go into tourism. And we can add in our bee facility, our area to their tourism centers, and we will make a large profit off of that. And I've also played music for these groups, and they do pay a lot of money just to do things like this and see the different parts of the area. And that would be the biggest part to our economy, is tourism.
Great, thank you.
Just a quick question, guys. Dr. Hussein, a lot of my friends are backyard beekeepers as well, so that's kind of just my question. Why bees? What made you choose that as your business plan?
Over the past few years, the pollinators and species that could help with this, such as bees, have been dwindling very fast, and without them, we will not be able to sustain the plant life in our area, which could lead to devastation of the woods and like everything that feeds into our economy, which we would have no animals and no livestock, no plants to sell to other places to feed the livestock, which would result in death of many people because they would have no sources of food.
It would cause sharp inflation too on prices of food throughout the world.
Well, one of the things we were looking at here was national, international trends. I've noticed in my lifetime that beekeeping has really shot up as a trend, so I think that's a very good choice for something to look into, something people are interested in. You take the tourism aspect in as well. I think that's a great idea.
Bob had asked about species of pollinators. What about species of plants for the bees to pollinate and to make honey out of? I know there's certain plants also that are better for different kinds of honey. Have you looked into that at all?
There are, from what we can tell, there are local blackberries that are also dwindling in numbers because of the decrease in pollinators. And like local people say that they create the best honey, blackberry honey.
Any other questions?
Who do you see as your major competitor?
There is little to no competition throughout the entire state of Eastern Kentucky, and especially as you get towards Eastern Kentucky. The nearest beekeeping facility, I'm trying to remember, we did it on business plan. I think it was in southwestern Kentucky. This is the closest facility that actually promotes live bees and pollination. So there's virtually no competition, especially towards like tour groups that will come to Eastern Kentucky. If they want to visit like a farm or like a bee farm, this will be the only place. And we'll of course make a lot of profit off of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you all very much. This is probably take about 5 or so minutes.